What if I told you that a secret so profound and terrifying was nearly erased from history? What if the reality you've been taught to believe is nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you from realizing your true potential? This is exactly what a group of ancient believers known as the Gnostics thought. Their beliefs were so radical, so disruptive, that the early church fought to destroy them, erasing their teachings from the Bible and branding them heretics. The Gnostics presented a version of Christianity that is almost completely forgotten today, but its echoes still resonate with those seeking deeper truths. This is the secret version of Christianity that was banned from the Bible, and what it reveals could change everything. Gnosticism wasn't just another branch of early Christianity. It was a belief system that fundamentally challenged the dominant teachings of the Church. Gnostics didn't just propose a different understanding of God. They claimed that the God worshipped in the Bible wasn't the real God at all. According to them, the God we know is a false, malevolent being, intent on keeping us trapped in a world of suffering and ignorance. The Gnostics called this being Yaldabaoth, and they believed he had created the material world as a prison for our souls. The real God, they said, was hidden, an incomprehensible source of pure light and love, and each of us carries a spark of this divine being within. The Gnostics believed that Yaldabaoth wanted us to remain ignorant of our divine nature. They saw the material world as a trap, a place where we are constantly distracted by the pursuit of wealth, power, and pleasure, all while being disconnected from the spiritual truths that could set us free. This belief that the physical world is a false reality designed to keep us in spiritual bondage was so dangerous to the early church that it went to great lengths to wipe it out. The writings of the Gnostics were burned, their followers were persecuted, and their beliefs were condemned as heresy. By the 4th century, with the rise of Emperor Constantine and the Council of Nicaea, Gnosticism was all but eradicated from the official Christian canon. But why Gnosticism was considered dangerous? Gnosticism was not just a philosophical disagreement about the nature of God. It posed a profound threat to the very foundation of the early church. To understand why, we need to look at the central beliefs that set Gnosticism apart. Unlike the Orthodox Christian teachings, which were centered around the belief in one all-powerful and benevolent God, the Gnostics introduced the idea that the God most people worshipped was, in fact, a false deity. According to them, this figure, often identified as the God of the Old Testament, was not the creator of all things, but an inferior, malevolent being called Yaldabaoth. This was already a radical departure from mainstream Christianity, but what made Gnosticism truly dangerous was the alternative path to salvation that it offered. For Gnostics, the path to salvation didn't require faith in Jesus Christ as the sole Redeemer or adherence to the teachings of the Church. In their view, salvation was something much more personal, something that came from within. The Gnostics believed that every human being contained a fragment of the divine, a spark of the true God, hidden deep inside. The way to salvation was through gnosis, a Greek term that translates to knowledge. But this wasn't just intellectual knowledge. It was a form of deep spiritual enlightenment, a direct understanding of the divine truths that lay hidden beneath the surface of ordinary existence. Gnosis was the key to waking up from the illusion of the material world, which the Gnostics saw as a prison created by Yaldabaoth to trap souls. By discovering this hidden knowledge, Gnostics believed they could break free from the physical world and return to the true higher God. The radical aspect of this belief was that it bypassed all of the traditional religious structures. Salvation, they said, wasn't something that could be given by the Church or earned through following religious rules. It was something each individual could achieve on their own by discovering the truth of their divine nature. This concept of self-salvation was a direct challenge to the growing power of the early Christian Church. For the Orthodox Church, salvation was an external process, something granted by God through the Church's sacraments, through faith in Jesus, and by living a life in accordance with God's will as outlined in the Bible. The Church held itself as the sole authority on matters of faith and salvation, making it the gatekeeper of eternal life. Gnosticism threatened this by proposing that salvation was internal and that individuals could access it without the Church's mediation. And this idea that true freedom and salvation come from within isn't just about spiritual liberation. It extends to every aspect of your life. The Gnostics taught that each of us carries a divine spark, a piece of the true God, and by uncovering this inner truth, we could free ourselves from the illusions of the material world. This isn't just a metaphor. It's a powerful reminder that we have the ability to shape our own reality. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded by distractions that pull us away from our inner truth. But what if, just as the Gnostics believed, everything you need is already inside you? What if the path to unlocking not only spiritual freedom, but also abundance, wealth, and true peace begins with recognizing your own power? By aligning with your divine purpose and tapping into your inner wisdom, you can manifest the life you've always dreamed of, whether it's material success, health, or inner peace. This journey isn't about chasing wealth. It's about awakening to the abundance that already exists within you. Click the link comments below to discover how to harness your inner power and attract the wealth and fulfillment you deserve. This was the core of what made Gnosticism so dangerous in the eyes of the early church. It undermined the church's authority, suggesting that people didn't need to rely on priests, bishops, or church doctrine to attain spiritual fulfillment. Instead, individuals could connect directly with the divine by seeking out hidden knowledge. This idea, that salvation could be attained independently of the church, was more than a theological disagreement. It was a direct attack on the church's power structure and influence over the lives of believers. If people believed they could find God on their own, the church's role as the mediator between humanity and the divine would be rendered unnecessary. The word gnosis holds much deeper meaning than just knowledge. For the Gnostics, it was the key to understanding the true nature of existence. It was not about learning facts or adhering to religious teachings. It was about awakening to a reality that most people were completely unaware of. Gnostics believed that the physical world was an illusion, a veil that hid the true spiritual reality. This illusion was created by Yaldabaoth, the false god, to keep human beings trapped in ignorance. But within every person was a divine spark, a piece of the true God, waiting to be uncovered. Gnosis was the realization of this divine spark. It was a moment of profound clarity where an individual came to understand that they were not just a physical being, but a spiritual entity, connected to the true God and capable of transcending the limitations of the material world. This enlightenment wasn't something that could be taught by priests or achieved by following religious rituals. It had to come from within, through a deep, personal journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. The Gnostics believed that this secret knowledge had been suppressed for centuries, hidden by those who wanted to maintain control over the spiritual lives of others. The early church, with its strict hierarchy and emphasis on obedience, was seen as one of the main institutions keeping people from realizing their true divine nature. By controlling access to the scriptures, interpreting religious texts for the masses, and establishing rules for salvation, the church positioned itself as the necessary mediator between humans and God. But for the Gnostics, this was a lie. They saw the church not as a pathway to God, but as a barrier. Gnosticism taught that true enlightenment came not through blind faith, but through questioning the world around you and seeking deeper truths. It was a journey inward, a search for the divine spark within that had been obscured by the illusions of the material world. Only by discovering this hidden truth could a person be truly free. This is why the Gnostics placed such a high value on secret knowledge. To them, the world was full of signs and symbols that pointed to the deeper spiritual reality, but only those who were enlightened could see them. They believed that Jesus himself had come to earth to share this secret knowledge, to wake people up from their ignorance, and show them the way back to the true God. However, the church had distorted his teachings, focusing on faith and obedience instead of the inner journey to enlightenment. Gnosis wasn't just a path to salvation, it was a radical rethinking of the entire spiritual experience. It suggested that the physical world was a trap, a false reality designed to keep people from realizing their true potential. And it offered a way out, not through external authorities or religious rituals, but through the discovery of the divine within. For the early church, this was a terrifying concept. It meant that their authority was not only unnecessary, but actively preventing people from finding true spiritual freedom. This was the real reason Gnosticism had to be suppressed. It offered a path to salvation that completely bypassed the church's control. One of the most famous critics of Gnosticism was Saint Irenaeus, a church leader in the 2nd century who wrote a book called Against Heresies. In this work, he condemned the Gnostics as dangerous heretics who were leading people away from the true faith. Irenaeus argued that the Gnostics' belief in secret knowledge undermined the church's teachings and authority. He insisted that salvation came only through faith in God and obedience to his commandments, not through the pursuit of hidden truths. Despite the church's efforts, Gnosticism survived in small pockets for centuries. Many Gnostic texts were discovered in the 20th century, such as the Nag Hammadi Library, a collection of Gnostic writings found in Egypt in 1945. These texts give us a window into the Gnostic worldview, showing us how they understood Jesus, the nature of God, and the true purpose of life. In Gnostic belief, Jesus wasn't just a teacher or a savior. He was a messenger sent by the real God to wake people up from the illusion of the material world. Jesus came to reveal the truth that the God of the Bible was not the true creator, but rather a deceptive force keeping humanity in darkness. One of the key concepts in Gnosticism is dualism, the idea that there are two opposing forces in the universe: light and darkness, good and evil, spirit and matter. According to the Gnostics, the material world was created by Yaldabaoth, the false god, as a way to trap human souls. The real world, the world of spirit, was hidden beyond the veil of this illusion, and only through gnosis could people break free from the prison of matter and return to their true divine nature. This dualistic worldview also shaped the Gnostics' understanding of good and evil. For them, good wasn't about following moral rules or obeying religious laws. Good was the spiritual realm, where the true God existed, and evil was the material world, where Yaldabaoth ruled. The Gnostics believed that true freedom came not from obeying the laws of the false god, but from rejecting the material world and seeking the hidden knowledge that could reconnect them with the real God. Gnosticism wasn't just about rejecting the physical world, it was about discovering the divine within oneself. The Gnostics believed that every person has a divine spark, a piece of the true God, hidden within them. This spark was the key to escaping the illusion of the material world and returning to the spiritual realm. But Yaldabaoth and his forces worked tirelessly to keep people from realizing this truth. They distracted humanity with the pursuit of wealth, power, and pleasure, all in an effort to prevent people from looking inward and discovering their divine nature. The Gnostics taught that pain and suffering were tools used by Yaldabaoth to keep people trapped in the material world. When we experience hardship, they believed, we are more likely to become attached to the material world, to seek comfort in physical things rather than looking for spiritual truth. But the Gnostics also believed that suffering could be a doorway to enlightenment. By questioning the nature of our pain and seeking a deeper understanding of why we suffer, we could begin to see through the illusion of the material world and find the divine spark within. This idea that the material world is an illusion and that we must seek the truth within ourselves has surprising connections to modern philosophy and science. Some scientists today speculate that our reality might be a kind of simulation, similar to the way the Gnostics described the material world as a flawed copy of a higher spiritual reality. The Gnostics' belief in hidden knowledge also resonates with modern explorations of higher consciousness and the idea that there is more to existence than what we can see with our physical senses. So why is this ancient belief system, which was almost erased from history, gaining new attention today? Perhaps it's because the Gnostics' message still resonates with a timeless human longing, our search for something deeper, something more real than the fleeting world around us. In today's fast-paced society, where technology, social media, and materialism dominate, many people are left feeling disconnected, anxious, and uncertain. The physical world, with all its distractions and pressures, often leaves us feeling spiritually empty. And that's where Gnosticism steps in, offering a path that feels like a much-needed alternative. The Gnostic belief that we each carry a divine spark within, a piece of the true God, speaks directly to the desire for deeper meaning in life. It provides a sense of inner empowerment, reminding us that we are more than just our external circumstances or the physical world we inhabit. This idea of having a hidden connection to something greater offers not just hope, but a purpose beyond the daily grind. It reassures us that, despite the chaos, there is a higher reality waiting to be discovered. In a world where traditional religious institutions sometimes feel rigid or out of touch, Gnosticism appeals to those searching for a personal, transformative experience. The idea that spiritual awakening comes from within, not through external authority, gives people the freedom to explore their own path to enlightenment, making Gnosticism's revival not just intriguing, but deeply relevant to modern spiritual seekers. The Gnostics taught that true freedom comes from questioning everything, from seeking knowledge that goes beyond what we are told by religious authorities or society. They believed that the journey to self-discovery was the path to divine truth, and that by awakening to our true nature, we could escape the illusion of the material world and return to the real God. Gnosticism reminds us that the answers we seek may not be found in the world around us, but within ourselves. It challenges us to look beyond the surface of our lives, to question the nature of reality, and to seek the hidden knowledge that can unlock our true potential. The real secret version of Christianity isn't found in a book or a doctrine. It's found in the depths of our own souls, in the divine spark that connects us to the true God. The Gnostics may have been silenced by the early church, but their message lives on. And perhaps now, more than ever, it's a message worth hearing. As we come to the end of this journey, it's clear that the Gnostics were onto something profound, something that still resonates today. They believed the real truth wasn't out there in some ancient text or institution, but within each and every one of us. It's a truth that challenges us to think differently, to question the world we see, and to seek a deeper connection with the divine spark inside. So, what if they were right? What if the key to unlocking your full potential isn't found in following the rules or accepting the stories we've always been told, but in daring to seek your own truth? Thanks for watching. If this sparked something in you, keep questioning, keep seeking, and remember, the real journey always starts within.